All right, honey. Your outfit looks great. Are you ready for the singing contest later? Are you nervous? Michelle asked gently, smiling at her daughter as she finished fixing her hair. Her voice was soothing, filled with pride and love. It was the local town festival, and her daughter, Ella, was one of the contestants lined up to perform later that day. What if the song she chose could unlock a secret from her mother's past? Stay tuned with Dark Voices to find out. I'm ready, Mama, Ella replied, her eyes wide but brave. But is it okay if I sing the theme song that you and Dad used to love? I'm just worried, Mama. I always hear you cry whenever that song plays on the radio. I don't want to see you sad. I don't want to make you cry. Her words pierced Michelle's heart. She reached out and gently cupped her daughter's cheek, pressing it lightly. You won't make me sad, sweetheart. Just sing it from your heart, she whispered. Feel the lyrics. I know you'll capture the emotion, and even if you don't win or lose, you're always the winner in my heart. Always remember that, okay? Ella gave her a wide, beaming smile. Can Ella's performance bring more than just applause? Keep watching Dark Voices to uncover the shocking truth. Soon, the host began calling the contestants to get ready backstage. Michelle flashed her daughter one last encouraging smile before escorting her toward the holding area. Before we begin, the host's energetic voice echoed from the stage, let's not forget the heart of every contest, the judges. Let's welcome them one by one. Michelle clapped politely with the audience as each judge was introduced. But then, and now for our final judge, please welcome our beloved Governor Andrew Joseph Ellison. A familiar name, the name that made Michelle's hands freeze mid-applause. Her breath caught in her throat. The sound around her faded into silence. It was as if time stopped. Her body felt stiff, her pulse roaring in her ears. She could see the confident, charming smile of Andrew as he took the stage. That same smile from years ago, still haunting, still beautiful. Without warning, tears welled in her eyes. The memories, sweet and bitter, rushed in like a storm. This is Mr. Hope, your friend and narrator on Dark Voices. Let's start from the beginning. Michelle, come here, dear, the housekeeper, Miss Diane, called. Yes, ma'am. Do you need something? Yes, honey. No one's cleaning Mr. Ellison's penthouse today. Rena left for the countryside for a few days, so I need you to go clean up for him. Michelle hesitated. Sure, I just don't know where his condo is. Don't worry, Charles will take you. He knows where it is. Just head straight to the penthouse once you arrive. Michelle didn't waste time. She quickly gathered her cleaning supplies and headed out. Once she arrived at the upscale building, Michelle stepped into the elevator, her nerves tightening as it climbed to the top floor. She had never seen Andrew's penthouse before. He rarely visited the mansion, and when he did, he was always too busy for anyone to catch more than a glimpse of him. She unlocked the door and entered. The space was clean, surprisingly so. But Michelle didn't slack off. She knew how meticulous the wealthy could be when it came to cleanliness. She polished every surface, dusted every corner, and made sure everything was spotless. It was late afternoon when she finally finished. Her back ached from the effort. Ouch! My back, she groaned softly, stretching out. Still, there was a deep sense of satisfaction. She had done her job well. She began gathering her tools, ready to leave, when she heard the sound of the door unlocking. Her stomach dropped. There was only one person who could be coming in. Andrew. Sir, she said softly, seeing him enter, his brows furrowed the moment he spotted her, his eyes narrowing. But what caught Michelle's attention even more was how he reached up to loosen the collar of his shirt, revealing part of his toned neck. New housekeeper, he asked, his voice low. Michelle swallowed and nodded. I've been here for a while, sir. Rena went back to the province, so I'm filling in for her. He glanced around the condo and nodded slowly. Come here. His tone was serious. Warily, Michelle took a few steps toward him. The distance between them closed. The smell of whiskey hit her. He was drunk, and judging by the haze in his eyes, quite heavily so. "Sir?" she asked cautiously. Without warning, he pulled her toward him and kissed her. "What are you doing, sir?" Michelle gasped as his kiss deepened. She closed her eyes, breath catching in her throat as his lips pressed harder against hers. He suddenly bit her lower lip, drawing a surprised moan from her. She gasped again when he teased her with his tongue, and her body froze as his hand slid from her face downward, roaming across her skin. "Please, sir," she murmured breathlessly. Michelle stepped back abruptly and straightened her clothes, her heart pounding wildly. She could feel the danger in the air, the closeness of temptation, the pull of something she couldn't afford to give into. She needed to leave now. "I have to go, sir," she said, voice trembling. "You're not even going to walk me to my room?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "Why would I? You've got legs. You can walk just fine. Walk me." She blushed at the implication of what could happen inside that room. "Why?" he teased. "Are you scared? What are you thinking about that makes you hesitate?" Michelle hadn't realized he'd already stepped closer again. "I'm not afraid, sir," she replied quietly. "And I'm not hesitating. I just don't want Madame to find out I was in your room." She made it clear that no one is allowed to enter any room when someone's inside. "She won't know if no one tells her," he said with a smirk, his breath ghosting over her ear. "Besides, when you go in, there won't be anyone inside because we'll be going in together." Her skin prickled as he gently held her cheek and stared straight into her eyes. She had no time to respond. He kissed her again. His mouth claimed hers with a quiet intensity that left her dazed. He began to tug at her clothes with his teeth as they kissed, and before she knew it, they were in his bedroom, where something she had only ever dreamed of, something she never thought would happen, was becoming real. "Sir, I'm still a virgin," she admitted softly. But Andrew didn't disappoint her. Just like she asked, he was gentle, unhurried. She whispered how good it felt, and Michelle surrendered herself to the moment, lost in sensations that overwhelmed her. By the time it was over, she was breathless, intoxicated by the strange electric pleasure he had awakened in her. It was a night unlike anything she had ever experienced on Dark Voices. The next morning, Michelle woke up first. The memories of what happened slammed into her like a wave. She looked at the man beside her, bare, vulnerable, still asleep, and realized the full extent of what she had done. She wasn't even his girlfriend. He wasn't hers. They were nothing. And yet, they had shared something so intimate. She stared at his sleeping form, his features so strikingly handsome in the morning light. If he was attractive at night, he looked even more dangerously irresistible now. She reached out and gently touched his face. He stirred slightly, and Michelle pulled back in a panic, thinking he'd wake up. Thankfully, he only shifted onto his back. And that's when she saw it. The unmistakable evidence of his arousal right there in front of her, boldly standing. Her throat tightened. "Damn," she whispered. But before she could entertain the idea forming in her mind, she jumped out of bed and dressed quickly. She couldn't afford another round. Not when the first one had already been a mistake. A reckless one-night stand she needed to bury and never repeat. "Why are you only just getting back?" Miss Diane asked sharply as Michelle returned to the mansion. "Sorry, I fell asleep," Michelle lied, trying to keep her voice steady. "You're always so sleepy. What if Mr. Ellison had noticed you at his condo? You would have been in serious trouble." Michelle's cheeks flushed crimson as the memory of last night flooded back. If only Miss Diane knew what really happened. How it wasn't just sleep that took over her last night, but something far more reckless. "Go back to work now before Madame sees you standing around doing nothing. You're lucky she didn't look for you this morning." Michelle nodded and went back to her tasks as if nothing had happened. But unbeknownst to her, Andrew couldn't stop thinking about that night either. Even while working at his own company, she filled his thoughts. He couldn't forget the softness of her body or the trace of blood on his bed sheets that confirmed what she had told him. He had been her first. He had been the one to claim something no one else had. The entire day passed with her face imprinted in his mind, no matter how busy he became. And finally, he made a decision. He would return to the mansion. He wanted to be closer to her, to see her again. Back at the Escalante estate, Michelle was tending to the garden, watering Madame's plants as usual. It was her routine morning and afternoon. She was in the middle of spraying the plants when a luxury car suddenly pulled up to the mansion's ornate gate. A visitor, but Madame hadn't told anyone they were expecting guests. Her eyes stayed locked on the car as it slowed, parking directly in front of her instead of in the garage. She watched as the door opened, and her world seemed to freeze. It was Andrew. Michelle swore under her breath. "What the hell is he doing here?" she muttered. "He never comes back to the mansion." She hadn't noticed he was already standing right in front of her until he stepped close, and she accidentally sprayed him with the garden hose. "Michelle, what are you doing?" Miss Diane shouted, snatching the hose from her. Michelle turned toward Andrew and saw he was soaked from head to toe. His gaze never left hers. "Michelle," he said softly, as if in awe. "Oh, yes, Michelle," Miss Diane quickly chimed in. "She's new here at the mansion. That's probably why you don't recognize her yet, but she's a good worker. Just a little spacey these past few days." Andrew didn't seem to hear a word. He only kept staring. "Spacey, huh?" he muttered, eyes still fixed on her. Michelle had heard that, and she felt her skin crawl from the way he said it. Just as she was about to speak, he beat her to it. "Miss Diane, please prepare my room. I'll be staying here from now on." "What?" Miss Diane stammered, shocked. "Oh, yes, of course, sir. And you," he added, glancing at Michelle. "We'll talk later." Then he walked off, leaving Michelle speechless. "Michelle, he knows you?" Miss Diane asked in a hushed voice. "Do you two know each other? What do you need to talk about? I thought you said you didn't see him at the condo." "Miss Diane," Andrew called out from inside the house. "Is my room ready?" "Yes, sir." "Right away," she responded, then turned to Michelle. "You're lucky we didn't start the third degree with you right now. Go on back to work before Madame sees you slacking off." Michelle exhaled in relief as she walked away. "Who? I thought I was going to be grilled right there. But for how long can I keep running from this?" she asked herself. She tried to return her focus to watering the garden, but the air changed when she heard Andrew's voice again. "So, you remember me, huh?" Michelle's eyes widened as she turned around slowly. "What are you doing, sir? You're getting too close. What if someone sees us? What will they think?" The corner of his lips curved upward. "What? Are you afraid they'll find out something happened between us?" Panicked, Michelle clamped her hand over his mouth. It was only after she did it that she realized she was falling for him again. "Why are you here, sir?" she asked nervously. "You should go inside before you get soaked again." "But I'm already where I want to be," he said mischievously. "You're the one I've been looking for." Michelle didn't respond. She let him stand beside her, heart pounding, her nerves growing more tangled by the second. What happens when forbidden love refuses to stay hidden? Stay with dark voices to see how this secret unfolds. About last night, he began, but Michelle quickly dropped the hose. "Sir, Miss Diane is calling me." "Bye," she exclaimed and ran off before he could say more. She continued avoiding him every chance she could. It felt like temptation was pulling at her every time he came near. Just the smell of his cologne made her weak. A single touch. It was enough to scramble her thoughts. A single step closer, and she felt herself unraveling. That was how much Andrew affected her. "Sir." Michelle was yanked from her thoughts as one of the housemaids called her back to reality. Seeing Andrew enter the kitchen, Michelle let out a breath of relief. "Hey, what's with you? You look tense," teased Belle, one of the maids, drawing the attention of the others. "Did you do something wrong?" "Yeah, you've been tense since Mr. Ellison got here," added another. "Do you have a crush on him or something?" Hey, Michelle's got a crush on Mr. Gilbert. Michelle's cheeks flamed as her coworkers teased her mercilessly. Stop it, she snapped. That's not true. Don't make up stories. Oh, really? Look in the mirror. Your cheeks are tomato red. But what embarrassed her even more was realizing Andrew was there listening, even chuckling at their conversation. Careful not to tease Michelle too much, he said, grinning. You might traumatize her after her first experience. Michelle froze. She had expected him to defend her, not join in. Can you blame her? Chimed in Andrew's father, Mr. Ellison, Sr. My son's a handsome guy. I can't blame her for having a crush. It's nothing to be ashamed of, dear. Crushes aren't bad. Keep it up. He even raised a fist in encouragement, causing Michelle to want to melt into the floor from sheer embarrassment. Even after Mr. Ellison Sr. left the kitchen, the teasing didn't stop. You're still blushing. Don't tell me you're still swooning over Mr. Gilbert and what his dad said, Belle pressed on. Cut it out, Michelle protested. You're not even funny anymore. Not funny? Look at yourself. Your face says otherwise. I am not in love. Just then, Andrew walked into the kitchen and looked directly at Michelle. The blood rushed to her cheeks again. Michelle has a crush on you, sir, Belle blurted out without hesitation. What are you saying? Shut up. Michelle scolded, throwing Belle a warning look before glancing back at Andrew, trying desperately to defend herself. Don't listen to her, sir. It's not true. She's just making things up. But Andrew stepped closer, leaning down so his mouth was near her ear. So, she's making it up? Is that really true? He murmured, his breath brushing her skin. The way you kissed me back, the way you moaned, the way you begged for more tells me otherwise, Michelle, he whispered, voice low and teasing. Michelle's whole body shivered. Her coworkers, eavesdropping with wide eyes, could barely contain their giggles. She pushed him away with a flustered gasp. I don't like you, sir. And even if I did, I would never admit it. It's not right. I'm just a maid. Falling for the son of my employer. It's strictly forbidden. Madam made that very clear, she said, voice trembling. And with that, she turned and walked away. She spent the rest of the day avoiding him. Andrew, however, kept seeking her out, following her everywhere like a shadow. She tried escaping whenever she could. Life, huh, muttered Miss Diane, catching her distracted expression. She was seated in the garden, enjoying the breeze when Michelle sat beside her. Got something on your mind, sweetie? Over the months Michelle had worked there, she had grown close to Miss Diane. She had become like a mother figure to her despite their short aggressively. No, but I know what you're thinking, Miss Diane said, smiling. Then tell me, Michelle challenged, watching as the older woman leaned back and stared at the calm sky. Love is hard, dear, Miss Diane began. Michelle frowned. What do you mean? It's hard to fall in love with someone outside your world. Hard to love someone who's sky while we're just the ground. Michelle looked away quickly and forced a laugh. You actually believed Belle earlier. You know how she is. She loves drama. She just needs a pen and paper, and she'd be a novelist by now. You know that girl's always stirring trouble. But I also know she wasn't lying. I saw it in your eyes. You really do have feelings for Gilbert. Michelle fell silent. It felt like her own tongue had betrayed her. But I can't blame you, Miss Diane continued. That young man is handsome and kind. Who wouldn't fall for him? Michelle looked up sharply. Wait, so you like him too, Miss Diane? For heaven's sake, child. What are you saying? The woman scolded, visibly flustered. You said who wouldn't fall for him? Just making sure. Don't drag me into your teenage drama. I'm too old for this nonsense. Besides, I've looked after that boy since he was small. Now behave. Michelle chuckled. You're no fun, Miss Diane. Child, I'm too old to be joked with like this. Michelle was still laughing when she noticed the sudden seriousness in Miss Diane's eyes. I understand how you feel, sweetheart, the older woman said quietly. But what can we do? We're just maids. In the eyes of the wealthy, we have no right to love someone above our station. It's not a law passed by government, but a law dictated by class. Michelle had no words. She wanted to say something to defend herself, but nothing came out. I've been there, too, Miss Diane confessed. I once loved someone above my status, and that's how I ended up here. Maid to the man I once loved. Michelle gasped, unable to believe what she was hearing. Wait, are you saying? Before she could finish her question, Miss Diane stood up. Let's head back inside. It's getting late. We have an early day tomorrow. But Miss Diane, I'll tell you the rest another time, she teased, already walking away. Michelle pouted. Now I'm really curious. She followed Miss Diane inside. They didn't share a room with the other helpers, but Miss Diane still walked her to her room. Go on, get some sleep. Just as Michelle was about to enter, Belle arrived. Hey, Michelle. Mr. Gilbert's asking for a glass of water in his room. You should take it to him. Michelle replied casually. Okay, then bring it to him. No, he wants you to take it. Michelle's jaw dropped. Me? Why me? Oh, please don't play dumb. I know what's going on between you two. Michelle rolled her eyes and walked off without arguing. As she turned away, she passed Miss Diane, who gave her a knowing look. Don't smile like that in front of me, Miss Diane said as Michelle passed her with the glass of water. I already know what you're thinking. Stop right there, Michelle. Please, Miss Diane, just this once, Michelle pleaded. I'm still a little awkward around him. If you don't face what you're feeling, you won't last long in this house. You'll keep seeing each other, and if you keep avoiding him, things will only get worse. Michelle exhaled shakily. Yes, Miss Diane. She walked toward the stairs, still unsure why her legs were trembling so badly. She was just delivering water, nothing more, but her heart raced as she stood before Andrew's room. She took a deep breath, mustering all the courage she could. Knock knock, sir, sir. Before she could fully extend the glass, Andrew opened the door and yanked her inside. The door locked behind her with a loud click. What are you doing? She stammered. His lips curved. Locking you in my arms, he replied. Michelle stood frozen as his gaze moved slowly from her eyes to her lips. She swallowed hard, feeling her knees weaken. Sir, here's the water. But Andrew's voice interrupted her again. Do you really think I called you here just for water? You're wrong, Michelle. He moved closer, his face inches from hers. She could barely breathe. Are you avoiding me? No, sir, I'm not. If that's true, then why do you always run when I come near you? Why do you act like you're scared of me? Michelle fell silent. She didn't expect him to notice. She thought she had been discreet. She never imagined he was paying attention. Sir, someone might see us. They'll get the wrong idea. I haven't returned yet, and the others might wonder. Let them think whatever they want, he said. We're doing what we want. And besides, something already happened between us, didn't it? Michelle gasped, stunned, as Andrew leaned in and rested his head on her shoulder. Are you drunk? She whispered, biting her lower lip as she felt his breath warm against her skin. But Andrew didn't respond immediately. Silence lingered between them until he finally murmured, What did you do to me? Michelle tensed. He raised his head and looked straight into her eyes. What did you do to me, Michelle? Why do I think about you all the time? Why do I picture you every moment at work? He shut his eyes, seeming lost. She saw it then, uncertainty and fear glinting in his gaze. You're driving me crazy, Michelle, he whispered. Your eyes, your lips, your body. Suddenly, he pulled her into a kiss. She didn't even notice the glass slipping from her hands as it was set aside. Let me, please, Andrew breathed. You don't understand what you've done to me. The moment I woke up and you were gone, I didn't care at first. It felt normal having someone leave. But when you left, everything changed. Your face wouldn't leave my head. Every time I kiss someone, I think of your lips. Every time I make love, it's your body I crave. He kissed her again, trailing down to the bed. Michelle remembered what Miss Diane had said earlier. The rich are only for the rich. The words echoed in her mind, grounding her as temptation flared in front of her. She wanted to resist. She needed to. Sir, I'm sorry, but I have to go back. She hadn't even finished the sentence when her uniform ripped with a sudden tear. She gasped, startled, and then whimpered as Andrew's lips found her chest. He took what he wanted. No hesitation, no restraint. Her eyes rolled back, mouth open, struggling between pleasure and guilt. Do you want me to stop? He asked, grinning. Michelle's mind screamed yes, but her body betrayed her. She couldn't answer. The more he touched her, the more she melted until the cold night around them seemed to catch fire. Will Michelle give in to temptation again, or will she find the strength to walk away? Stay tuned to Dark Voices to find out. Michelle, why isn't your uniform from yesterday in the laundry basket? Madam might notice and scold you, asked Miss Diane. The next morning, Michelle bit her lower lip. She didn't know what to say. The truth that it had been torn last night, ripped apart in a moment of passion by her employer's son. They changed uniforms daily in the mansion. Once worn, the uniforms were sent for washing immediately, and yet hers was missing. Michelle, I'm talking to you. Where's your uniform? Why wasn't it in the basket? Before Michelle could answer, Belle chimed in. Hey, Michelle, is that your uniform in the trash? It's all torn up, like something wild happened to it. What the heck did you get into last night, girl? Were you in a brawl? Michelle's cheeks flushed. It just ripped. It was too tight, that's all. Too tight? Come on. It's ripped from top to bottom. Just then, Andrew entered. Michelle, fix my necktie. Everyone froze. Even Michelle didn't know what to say. Her throat tightened. Now, Andrew said firmly. I don't want to be late for work. Michelle stepped forward hesitantly and began fixing his tie. Her co-workers watched like silent spectators at a show. I'm done, sir, she whispered. But before she could pull away, Andrew leaned in and murmured by her ear, see you later, sweetheart. A chill ran through her body, not from fear, but from the warm breath that grazed her skin. Since the second night, something happened between them. Everything began to change. They grew closer in secret, late-night talks, hidden dates on the veranda, and always those intense, intimate encounters they never spoke about in daylight. Michelle knew it was wrong. She knew she was the only one who would get hurt in the end. After all, she was just a maid, and Andrew was the son of her employer. The truth would always be there. But that didn't stop her from giving in to her heart and her body. Miss Diane, you still owe me a story, Michelle whispered one afternoon. You promised to tell me who he was. She approached her quietly while she was chopping vegetables. Can I finally know his name? Your lover boy? Was it Mr. Ellison? Miss Diane smiled faintly and nodded. Michelle's mouth dropped open. You loved Mr. Ellison? Yes, sweetheart, she said softly. You never fought for him. If you loved him, why didn't you try? Miss Diane sighed deeply. I knew that was what I should have done. But you always say we should fight for love. So why didn't you? Michelle asked. The woman's eyes turned sad. Because I was just a maid, and he was a man drowning in wealth. I never had a chance. That's not true. You had your heart, and your heart mattered more than money. Mr. Ellison loved you too, didn't he? Miss Diane didn't answer right away. What could love do when his family was against me? Even if he did love me, we had no chance. Michelle's heart ached for her. Then why did you stay here under the same roof as the man you loved? Because I was happy just to be near him, Miss Diane replied, smiling. It hurts, yes, but I've made peace with it. Michelle frowned. That doesn't make sense, Miss Diane. When you love someone, even seeing them happy is enough. Michelle looked at her, eyes narrowing with realization. But if his family didn't approve, how did you stay here? Why did they allow it? Miss Diane chuckled. They didn't approve, but Gerald, Mr. Ellison, made it a condition. A condition? Yes. He told his family that he would only go through with the arranged marriage they wanted if I could stay here. Michelle's eyes widened. So, he fought for you in his own way. That's why I stayed. That condition was his gift to me and my reason for dedicating myself to this household. What I admire most about Gerald is that he never let bitterness take root between us. We remained friends. Michelle wiped away a tear. She hadn't expected Miss Diane's story to feel like something out of a TV drama. You're amazing, Miss Diane. You're a fighter, too. I just hope your story ends better than mine. Michelle was watering the plants at the back of the mansion when someone suddenly hugged her from behind. How was your day? She jerked in surprise, looking around in panic. From the familiar scent and voice, she already knew who it was. Andrew. Hey, someone might see us. Move away, she whispered urgently. But instead of letting go, Andrew leaned closer, nuzzling her neck. What are you doing? I smell like sweat, she protested, pulling away from him. Andrew only smiled. You still smell amazing. Even when you're sweating, you still smell like a baby. Her cheeks turned crimson. She knew he was teasing her. But she couldn't help feeling giddy and shy. Go away before someone sees us, she said. What's so bad about that? I live here. You're a maid. What would they think, that we're not allowed to talk? That's exactly it. I'm just a maid. You shouldn't even be paying attention to me. We're not supposed to be sweet like this. Andrew shook his head. You're doing it again. Thinking all the wrong things. I'm just being realistic. In a world like this, maids aren't allowed to be noticed by the wealthy. He sat down on the garden bench. That's where you're wrong. Even the impossible can happen. It just depends on whether you're willing to fight for your rights or let yourself be defeated. Michelle fell silent. By the way, Andrew continued. I'm running for governor here in California. Governor? Why are you running? She asked, brows knitting in confusion. Andrew chuckled. Did you forget? My father is the governor. It's still undecided who the family's next candidate will be, but I've been asked to consider it. It's not just for them. It's for everyone, for the people. As Andrew followed through on his plans to run, he stepped down from his CEO position and devoted himself to public service. One day, Michelle was summoned to Madame Cynthia's office. Puzzled, she entered, only to be met with a stinging slap. She clutched her cheek in shock. Madam. Without a word, Cynthia slapped her again, one on each cheek. Michelle immediately knew what this was about. How dare you seduce my son? If Maria hadn't told me she saw you hugging in the garden, I wouldn't have known. You think he'll love you? You're wrong. He's only using you for your body. Stop dreaming. That will never happen. Michelle said nothing. Tears welled in her eyes. Everything Cynthia said, it hurt because deep down Michelle knew there was some truth to it. She was a maid. Hoping to be loved was already too much. She recalled Miss Diane's words. The heart has no chance when money becomes part of the equation. I thought you were smart when you first came here, Cynthia said coldly. Apparently not. I had higher expectations, but you left me no choice. You're fired. It was expected, but it still stung. Will Michelle lose everything she's fought for? Find out what happens next on Dark Voices, That night, Michelle made a decision, one she knew would hurt deeply. She would leave the mansion and everything behind. "You're late," she whispered to Andrew when he showed up behind her unexpectedly. "You invited me on a date, but you were late." "I was just too excited to see you." "That's why I came early," he said, wrapping his arms around her from behind. Michelle didn't answer. She simply leaned into his embrace. "Why are you hugging me so tight?" he asked, amused. "Did you miss me that much?" Tears slipped from Michelle's eyes. She smiled through them. "Yes, I missed you that much." Andrew turned her to face him and gently cupped her cheeks. "I love you, Michelle. I love you so much." She smiled bitterly. If only Madame hadn't been against them, she would have been overjoyed. But that wasn't their reality. She hugged him back on the balcony outside his room, savoring what might be their last night together. "Let's sleep side by side," Andrew said suddenly. "What?" "I said, let's sleep side by side. No one's going to find out. We've done it before." They never noticed. Michelle didn't argue because deep down she wanted it, too. They lay in bed together again. "Why does it feel so good to sleep beside someone?" Andrew murmured. "All these years, I've never felt this way before." "Let's get married. That way, we can sleep beside each other every night for the rest of our lives." Michelle smiled faintly, eyes closed. "You're crazy," she whispered. Andrew frowned slightly. "What's impossible about that? When it comes to you, nothing is impossible. Not even love." She didn't reply. She simply smiled to herself in the dark, knowing deep inside how dangerous it was to believe. "Go to sleep. I have to wake up early tomorrow," Michelle said softly. Andrew didn't argue. He closed his eyes and, with his arms wrapped around her, quickly fell asleep. But Michelle didn't sleep. She stayed awake all night, staring at his face, memorizing every line and curve, every detail. "I love you, Gilbert. If we're really meant for each other, our paths will cross again someday. And when that happens, I won't let you go. I'll fight for you," she thought to herself, gently easing his arm from around her waist. Once free, she leaned down and kissed him on the forehead. "Until we meet again, my love." She left the mansion quietly that morning. Michelle returned to her hometown in a remote part of California, difficult to find, tucked away from the city. Only when she arrived did she realize something. She was pregnant. There was no doubt in her heart. The father was Gilbert. He was the only man she had ever been with. What will Michelle do now, alone and pregnant? Don't miss the next chapter on Dark Voices. 5 years passed. Michelle raised their twins, Isla Maria and Jacob, with care and love. They grew up well, happy, and kind. And now, in the present day, one of them, Isla, was preparing to perform at a local singing contest. Michelle watched with mixed emotions as her daughter got ready. She had no idea Gilbert was one of the judges. "Mama, are you okay? Why are you crying? Are you in pain?" Jacob asked, tugging on her hand. "Isla hasn't even sung yet." Michelle wiped her eyes and smiled. "No, honey. These are tears of joy. I'm just so proud of your sister. She's so brave and strong for entering this contest." She kissed Jacob on the forehead and held his hand tightly. "Let's go up front so